Weirdo2 here, and today we're going to be talking about fucking the Sixth Doctor, Colin Baker. Today I have with me.
How dare you curse? This is a Christian YouTube channel.
On the fucking
Oh, for
intro, no less.
fuck's
He's
sake.
like talking about the fucking Sixth Doctor.
For the second
I'm not
collaboration
that
in a
bad.
row, after the Evil and Smythe Part 3, he was really salty.
I don't know why I was.
Oh my god, this is another Sixth Doctor video I'm doing this year. Fuck this.
Anyway, today, if you couldn't already tell, I have with me Joey Morgan, Dylan Heath, and Jacob Licklider.
You didn't even let us say hi to the audience, Brian.
Hello,
You've already
audience.
said hi.
Excuse me, you'll find that in the YouTube world, I am Lord Slar.
Oh, yeah, fucking Lord Slar. Yeah.
You've
Oh,
doxed me,
so-
Brian.
so-
You've just doxed me.
Speaking of my actual name,
My
I
bad.
found some other gay YouTuber called Joey Morgan, and he's actually gay and he does makeup tutorials, and he's more popular than me. Some.
Anyway, that's
every
besides-
Time I search your channel, I find that.
Anyway, that's besides the point, and we're just gonna start talking about the Sixth Doctor now, Colin Baker's portrayal and the character himself.
And speaking of rainbows,
Oh, yes. All right. So the Sixth Doctor. What hasn't been said already about his character arc? It's really strong. Obviously the plan on TV has been fulfilled at this point, but originally on TV he started off really brash and abrasive and really just not likable at all. He's not a very fun character to watch. I mean, he's a fun character to watch, but certainly not the Doctor that we knew up to that point. But it's kind of a refreshing take, I feel. Like, it's certainly not familiar, but I feel like it's a fun kind of different. And Colin Baker plays it very well. Beyond that, his first
Is it bad I like brash Colin Baker quite a lot?
I do.
think it's fun.
I like brash Colin Baker a lot too. I think I like his portrayal of the Sixth Doctor and his TV stories more than his expanded universe, but he's still fantastic everywhere else as well. But the Sixth Doctor then goes on this journey of learning kind of who he is as the Doctor again, and we first get this in his last season on TV in Trial of a Time Lord, which we'll talk about later. Obviously, big events happen there that change him as a character. He finds out that there's this dark side of him that he has to be careful of becoming. And he loses people along the way. He goes on this really emotional journey through the expanded universe and becomes a Doctor who learns to care about people again and care about helping others. And it's a really great journey to see a Doctor go on. Not one that you get quite often. You don't quite get a Doctor that starts off quite an asshole and becomes the Doctor again. Usually it's the other way around, where you get the fun new lease on life Doctor who gets really hardened as they go along. So this is kind of the other way around. So I think it's a really
Kind of like
fun
Peter
character.
Capaldi then, in that respect.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't think
Except that
Done
it's
better.
done really well and not.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like they tried to cram all of the Sixth Doctor's character arc, encompassing everything, just into 3 seasons, and it was just done way too fast between series 8 and 9.
Except for literally nobody dies. There's no consequences, and his character changes without any reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, do either of you two lovely lads think you can add anything to that, or
I do. That's because I always.
Jacob?
Ladies first.
Brian's already gone, so
Oof.
I have.
Oh, well, yeah, he is a butt lesbian.
Fuck you.
no. So, Colin, I think people seem to forget that Colin Baker. I don't think he was ruined by the brashness on television. I think the only thing that ruined him on television was the twin dilemma. Like, people saw the.
See, I didn't think it was the twin dilemma alone. I think it was the twin dilemma's placement and airing.
Well,
Yeah,
I thought about
that
what-
was everybody's impression. The fact that was everybody's impression of that Doctor for how many months was it? Like
9,
Exactly,
7, 8, 9?
He didn't
Yeah,
have the
9,
time
because it was.
to mellow out. So, yeah, that was their first really strong impression until the new
Yeah.
season
I
started.
mean,
Yeah.
if the woman who fell Earth was my first impression of Jodie, and I didn't get another impression for 9 months, I wouldn't be feeling very positive on it at all. Whereas at the moment,
Neither
I'm just
would
kind of
I.
a bit meh.
Yeah.
So I that definitely did hurt. That's definitely a good point.
And it also doesn't help that the twin dilemma, I think everyone can agree, with him strangling Perry just does go too far, especially for that placement at the end of the season with no budget.
Well, I
Johnny.
think it works to fulfill the mission statement of the Sixth Doctor. I just don't think that it was like I said, I think like the Twin Dilemma, while not being the best story, just could have been placed better in the broadcasting schedule. You know, it was crammed at the end of the season, and it didn't work with the kind of strength that a new Doctor's opening story should have come on with.
Yeah, they really should have waited until season 22 to do it.
They completely blew their wad on the Cage of Androzani, both like in terms of money and creativity and semen, you know?
Yeah.
No,
I mean, literally at the end,
you're-
Peter Davison feeds Perry a vial of his own cum. So.
Like, imagine if the Robert Holmes commission wasn't to write Cage of Androzani, but was to write Colin Baker's first story. Like, imagine how much stronger he would have come on. If
but
Robert,
then we wouldn't have got caves, so...
well, fair, but yeah.
I think Attack of the Cybermen should have been his first story.
Mm,
Nah.
nah.
Again, that's not strong enough to be his first story either.
No, it's pretty. No, I think it's pretty strong.
Well,
I just think it's.
see, here's the thing, though. I'd keep Attack of the Cybermen as his first story, but exactly the way it is. We just pick up with the Doctor, like a week or two after he's regenerated, and Perry's like, "Okay."
You just regenerated
so
Doctor.
much.
And then, if I may, I think, just Colin Baker overall as a Doctor, what even makes him work if you're watching in hindsight.
Oh my god, the Attack of the Cybermen! There's a Cyberman here!
Who has
Excellent.
Who has the Attack of the Cybermen?
No, I'm talking like as a
soundtrack on
person.
That's technically part of the soundtrack.
I can't leave him.
But you must, Doctor. He only has one eye.
Jacob, you're cutting out. You can tell.
Anyway,
I think I am cutting out.
Okay, you know you're good now. You're good now.
You sound like the autistic Cyberman from Attack of the Cybermen.
Dylan, you cannot say that.
He cocks his head to one side. It's like, a Cyber Scout has been destroyed. So he fucking...
All right, Dylan. Okay, what do you have to say about the Sixth Doctor as a whole?
Oh, he's a good lad, he is. No, I really do like the Sixth Doctor. A lot of it's down to Colin Baker's performance. Like, he brings so much gravitas and bravado to it. It's very theatrical, and there's something about that that really, really draws me in. And while it is theatrical and sometimes a bit hammed up, it always works when he tries to play it seriously, when he needs to play it seriously. And the writing for the Sixth Doctor, whilst on TV maybe sometimes a bit inconsistent, on the whole, I think he's one of the more strongly written Doctors, mainly because of how well his arc's constructed, how consistent his character is, and just how interesting he is to follow and watch. And it's really sad that there's this pervasive opinion that it just, the sixth Doctor bad, and nobody ever thinks about it or really gives him a chance. Just people are told he's bad before they watch him, and then they just assume he's bad. Now, fortunately, I didn't have that experience because I watched Doctor Who before I really knew the internet. So, I was watching Colin Baker before I knew that he was unpopular. So that's probably why I enjoy him. But it's a shame that he really gets a bad rap in that respect.
See, I think I also
agree with that.
When I was first getting into Doctor Who, I got into it pretty late in the game. But also, like, I was kind of infected by the Sixth Doctor bad, just immediate impression that everybody gave off. So for a while, like, without even really giving him much of a chance, I saw like one story and I was like, oh, that's not any good. But it really does show that, like, considering he's one of my favorite Doctors now, I think it really does show that that people just need to give him more of a chance and move past the reputation that he has, because he really can be.
I've managed to have this positive impression, even though my first episode of his that I watched was Time Lash.
Oh wow!
I think until a few years ago, the only Sixth Doctor story I had seen was Attack of the Cybermen. and I was told he was pretty horrible in everything else he was in, so I just didn't bother. And then I went into his TV stuff expecting to be like, oh well, I'm gonna hate him because everybody else seems to hate him, and I didn't hate him. And then I thought, huh, I must be weird.
No, you're not, man. We're the only sane people in the bloody fan base. It's more or less just hereditary gradism. Because Michael Grade kind of helped foster this anger towards, Colin Baker's Doctor and Doctor Who at the time. So there's just this kind of notion that that era is just no good.
Yeah.
It's completely fabricated by somebody who hated the show, is the thing.
Yeah.
That kind of mentality.
Which, really, why do people listen to Michael Grade? He wasn't a fan of the show. He saw the America and thought, oh, this show is shit, we need to cancel it.
Well, yeah, but also he was just kind of coming out of the woodwork when the Sixth Doctor era was starting, and people saw the kind of power he had behind the BBC, and they didn't know how much he really just hated the show overall.
And the Twin Dilemma did leave a bad taste in people's mouths for quite a while, that helps build up resentment. Especially when, let's be honest here, the Fifth Doctor era wasn't the greatest ever. It wasn't bad, but it's definitely a massive step down from Tom Baker's era, which would have still been fresh in most people's minds.
Yeah, and I think, especially with the Twin Dilemma being such a great martyr for Michael Grade to kind of lead his assault against the Sixth Doctor, and something for people to rally.
I wouldn't say it's exactly a martyr. I actually think is a very good reason for one not to like the Sixth.
Well, no, like I said, it's not necessarily a good story, but its placement didn't help it at all. If it was just a season opener and just happened to be a bad first story for a Doctor, we'd had those before. Like, look at Castrovalva. It wasn't a good opening for the Fifth Doctor, but it was still the start of a season, and he had more time after that to develop. Whereas Twin Dilemma just got stuck at the end of the season.
Anyway, I think we've sort of what's the fucking word? Anyway, we've talked this to its limit, so let's move on to our topic, which is Perry.
Tets.
God damn it!
I was waiting for one of you to say that.
Okay.
Okay, so I don't know what happened there, but we're back now. Anyway, Perry.
Yeah, Perry. Okay, so now that we're re-recording this, I'm going to do this whole spiel again. Hope you guys don't mind. But Perry has recently become my favorite companion. About like a 2-month span ago, I think, around when I listened to The Reaping. But Perry starts out as this companion standard, treading on what we talked about in the Fifth Doctor discussion. Perry's just a really nice character. She starts off, a fun character that wants to explore with the Doctor, really bright and energetic. And then specifically in season 22, I think, because season 22 is a really dark season. Perry gets really affected by the events that happen around her. She sees what the Doctor goes through on his travels, and it really starts to break her down. Then, of course, you get to Trial of a Time Lord. With her wonderful quote-unquote exit. But really where the character of Perry shines, for me at least, is in the expanded universe. I listened to these two stories in succession. They were a bit spread apart, but Perry and the Piscon Paradox and The Reaping, where in Perry and the Piscon Paradox, it's a really nice character piece for Perry, which I'll talk about more when we talk about the universe. But there's this moment at the end of Piscon Paradox that really, I think, shapes the character of Perry and who she is and how she felt specifically during the transition between the Fifth and Sixth Doctors that started to change her. Then, of course, there's The Reaping, which if you know The Reaping, know the ending. Perry's
fucking lame.
No, it's great. We'll talk about that more later. But Perry's life just gets turned absolutely upside down. Because she really is just this nice person, and I guess to avoid all the sexual shit, there are times where you just want to give Perry a hug because she goes through so much horrible shit with the Doctor, and she's super nice, and her life just gets destroyed. Specifically with the Sixth Doctor, at least, and that is why I guess Perry is my favorite companion. So yeah, also tits.
Tits.
Anyway, yeah, Perry. Brian, did you
I
get
wonder
that?
if
I did get that. Thank you
Okay.
for being a dick and asking, Joey. Anyway,
I just had to be sure.
you know in the case of Androzani, you know how like Peter Davison was going on about I'm acting my heart out, but people are just looking at Perry's tits. But do you think it was actually Perry's tits that regenerated?
Ooh, the mystery.
anyway, so I like Perry quite a bit. You know, she looks good on TV, and B, Nicola Bryant's acting improved with time, and she's really good in the expanded stuff. She also gets a lot more development in the expanded universe, which is pretty cool. And, her shitty exit in Trial of the Time Lord is sort of rectified and made better. So, yeah, Perry's pretty cool.
I'm on Team Joey in this one. I like Perry a lot more than most. She's not really my favorite companion, but she's up there. She's definitely up there. And I don't get why she's one of these companions that seems to go under the radar a bit underrated, you know?
Yeah,
Because she is a seriously strong character and a seriously likable character in everything she's in. People just kind of, she's just the one with big tits and screams. It's like, nah, you haven't bloody watched it, have you?
Yeah, seriously, there's a lot more to the character than just, oh yeah, she's kind of hot. Okay, I say kind of. That's an understatement. But still, also, Brian, I want to point out that you called her Nicola.
God, I think I know why it's Joey's favorite companion. He's got a big fucking rage and hard on.
Anyway, Jacob, what do you think?
I don't want to sound redundant, so I'll keep it quick. Perry's not my favorite companion, but she isn't a bad companion. I think part of it comes in the fact that Nicola Bryant and Colin Baker have this just chemistry, even just as two actors. They've become really close friends afterwards. That really helps.
That is true.
To sort of feel their dynamic. Like you can feel like even though the Doctor and Perry bicker a lot, like there is a lot of the bickering, at least post say Vengeance on Varos.
Did you?
Varos.
Jacob, do you want to try that again?
Yeah, it's Varos.
Vengeance on Varos. Sort of. It's not as antagonistic as it was outside of it's more like we're friends we argue with each other, and it's really nice.
As the series goes on, it does sort of become more playful arguing.
It's something that Big Finish have capitalized on. I think it's in The Reaping. Perry gets a line something along the lines explaining to her mother why she stays with the Doctor. Well, we argue, but we don't really argue. It's sort of it's this unspoken sort of dynamic.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier the great relationship that Nicola Bryant and Colin Baker have outside of Doctor Who. I don't know if any of you guys follow her on Instagram that she started up recently, but she took this picture in front of this Jabba the Hutt at a Comic-Con, and she was like holding a lightsaber, and it said "Come to me, baby." And then the next picture she had was her laying against Colin Baker like he was Jabba.
That's fun.
Yeah.
So we're gonna talk very briefly about Frobisher now.
Frobisher! Yes! I just finished I finished reading like a week or two ago. Voyager.
All hail Frobisher. All hail the big talking bird.
Big talking bird.
See, Joe is the only one who's actually read the comics with.
Oh no, I've read I've read Voyager.
Jacob, you don't count.
Jacob, you said you never finished that.
I read it over this week.
Oh, okay.
I saw a few panels on Facebook.
Basically, the only experience I have with Frobisher is a couple of comics and then the audios. And he's really good in all of those, so...
He's so much
Robin Jezik is like the perfect voice for him.
Yeah.
Please, for the love of God, bring Frobisher back into Big Finish.
I am convinced that that's what they're doing. They are adapting the Fourth Doctor comics. The Sixth Doctor and Perry are getting their own box set. It's gonna be, comics.
Come on, he's so good. And the reason they haven't done it is because the Holy Terror didn't sell well initially.
Wait, the Holy Terror didn't sell well initially?
No, not at all. It's because that's back when it came out monthly. No, that's not the reason. The reason was like these new Doctor Who audios were going out monthly, and it was a bit dear for people back then. So they were like, right, well, we'll skip this one with Frobisher in, as that's just going to be a bit of fluff. And I didn't realize what they were missing out on.
Indeed. Because Frobisher's
And
really
Robert Shearman told me this, by the way. So
Well, the thing is, Big Finish seem aware that, Frobisher is in high demand, but they won't bring him back.
Yeah,
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it's just they can't get Robert Jezik back.
maybe, but I think so. On the character of Frobisher, though, he has actually a really nice character arc surrounding how fun of a character he is. Because he starts off in the comics, just kind of, he's still the private eye that we all know, and when he joins up with the Doctor, he kind of finds a new sense of purpose. And unfortunately, he gets stuck with the more newly regenerated, brash and abrasive Sixth Doctor. So the Sixth Doctor is actually kind of like quite mean to him at first in the comics. And then when Perry comes back on the TARDIS, which is a weird comic explanation, don't ask about that shit. But when Perry comes back on, Frobisher becomes really attached to her, and they become really great friends. And her leaving is kind of what caused Frobisher to become more disheartened with the Doctor, because that broke the Doctor as well as Frobisher. And there's also the Seventh Doctor comic, which is Frobisher's official exit, I guess, where he goes with the Seventh Doctor on a holiday, and the Seventh Doctor tries to cheer him up, for no longer being with Perry, and Frobisher, and it just doesn't help Frobisher as a character. He can't really kind of break himself out of this depression.
Well, you can't not mention the Maltese penguin, dude.
Oh well, yeah. There's also there's that, but at the same time, I kind of now that I've read the comics, it kind of pisses me off what they kind of do to Frobisher's arc. But I mean, those stories are fantastic. Those stories are absolutely amazing. But they kind of piss all over Frobisher's arc as a character, which is all right, fine enough. And Robert Jezik is fantastic as the character, but I don't know. I think I'm just a bit more connected to the comics as of right now. That'll probably change. I mean, it doesn't change the fact that the stories are amazing.
Anyway, so Dylan, Jacob, do you have anything?
I don't have anything to add.
I've already said what I want to say.
Oh, Frobisher makes a good meme. Let's be honest.
The horrible CG penguin they use on the cover of Holy Terror.
Okay, then. Well, I guess next up is Evelyn.
I'll let Jacob go over this.
I'm going to let Dylan go first on this one.
Fine.
Oh, what? I gotta go first. Oh. Well, I haven't listened to an Evelyn audio in quite a long time, which is criminal, but by God, I love her. She was a brilliant companion. It's nice to have an older person. It brings a slightly different dynamics, because a lot of the companions are kind of fresh-faced and, ready to go out there and explore, whereas Evelyn's somebody who, she's lived a long time. She's already got lots of experiences, and she's going out there to continue her learning. And she's just a really sweet, fun character to be with. She's nice and sensible. She's always good in her audios, and it's just very refreshing to have a companion like that, a companion who's different. And we should have more older companions, and I'm so glad we've had Graham in the new series, because he's a great example of why older companions can work, and are very refreshing.
Well, I think Evelyn also bounces off of the Sixth Doctor really well. Just her generally sort of tough, I don't know.
She smooths his edges.
Bounces off his really well.
Yeah, I think.
Of course they bicker and argue, but it's in a slightly different way to how he and the Doctor argued. It's like Evelyn actually antagonizes him into arguing. It's funny. And
yeah, Dylan makes a great point about older companions making really good opposites for the Doctor, because they have more experience, and they have this more down to earth feel where they won't get as easily whisked away by the Doctor's antics as one of the younger companions. And Evelyn definitely, does not let the Doctor forget that that he still has to be a sensible person. She's the first companion that starts to chronologically, at least, she's the first companion that starts to sort of break him out of his abrasive nature.
Yeah, I'd say definitely. Definitely, Evelyn is the reason why 6 is. Well, I guess is why Mel stayed with 6 because you look at 6 with Perry and then you look at 6 with Mel, and Mel would not have stayed with 6 if he was acting like he did with Perry.
Yeah. Jacob, I feel like you're holding something in.
Yeah. I don't know how many how spoilery I want to get.
I mean,
but I think I'm gonna go spoilers for Thicker Than Water.
Ooh, also spoilers for Project Lazarus. Because
Yes.
Oh, well, I haven't heard Thicker Than Water, but I'm not too bothered.
Well, Arrangements for War, I think, too, also brings it up. I can't remember. I can never remember what the first one to bring.
Oh, I haven't heard that one either, and I don't want that one to be spoiled.
Point being,
Thicker Than Water is actually a sequel to Arrangements for War, so...
Point being, I'm going to be taking out my headphones right now until Jacob finishes.
All right.
Yeah, okay, I'll do that as well.
The Big Finish crafts a really good sort of character arc where they build really stakes around Evelyn traveling with the Doctor to motivate her. Basically, the idea being that she's suffering from a heart condition. She doesn't have a lot of time to live, which sort of is why she leaves to be with Rossiter, the man she falls in love with. Just because she's sort of lost so much.
Well, she already lost so much with the Doctor, right?
Yeah,
she
has.
Then she falls in love,
and her days are already
if she's got so much. If she's only got so much time left, why spend it, being unhappy with the Doctor? Because in all honesty, their relationship after Cassie dies in Project Lazarus does
deteriorate.
Or spiral.
It deteriorates. Yeah, they still end up having stuff. It seems that the Thomas Brewster trilogy really sort of boosts their happiness again. But after that moment, they're not on uneasy waters, but something has changed. They've sort of gone past this point of we're having fun and space adventures. I want to see history. It's just like it's sort of like the Tegan arc.
Stopped being fun.
Yeah, and it's really powerful. Of course. And I'm very glad Big Finish gave her an exit, especially with the sad passing of Maggie Stables. Even if it's like not necessarily in order. But yeah,
this.
We're done now.
Okay, I just stepped right back in and I heard that random.
Right, I'm here. I'm here.
All right, cool. So
all right. Anything else to add, Joey?
Evelyn's a great character. I don't know everything you guys talked about. I think at one point.
Well, we did talk a little bit about how the relationship changes after Project Lazarus, which I think you two.
Oh yes, Project Lazarus is that big breaking point for their characters, and she's
I like Project Lazarus.
And then of course you have in Doctor Who and the Pirates where it's not Doctor Who and the Pirates. It's still Project Lazarus where it's revealed that she has her heart issue. And,
it's in Lazarus. That's basically what I was talking about.
Her
heart
fuck!
issue.
I thought you were talking about Arrangements for War.
I thought that was in Arrangements for War. When that was first revealed.
It's a big plot point in Arrangements for War.
And Thicker Than Water.
Oh well, but don't spoil that.
Yeah, I won't say anything about it. Listen to those, you people. They are $2.99 a piece. Buy the download.
I have Arrangements for War. I just haven't listened to it yet.
Oh well, you need to because it's amazing.
Okay.
I will listen to it.
Anyway, so now we're gonna move on to Flip.
No, it's Charlie next, Brian.
Or Charlie. Well, shit, I can't. You guys have to do Charlie then.
I don't know Charlie either.
I know Charlie.
Well, I know Charlie from the 8th Doctor shit, but I haven't heard any of her 6th Doctor shit. Other than Red House.
Dylan, have you heard the Charlie 6 Adventures?
Yes, I have actually.
So take it away.
Not all of them. But specifically, I've heard the trilogy with what's it called? What's the name of the trilogy? It's the one that ends with Blue Forgotten Planet.
The Virens.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
the
think
trilogy
that's
where it's Patient Zero, Paper Cuts, and Blue Forgotten
Blue
Planet.
Forgotten Planet.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
a brilliant trilogy.
her-
That is.
It's a brilliant trilogy, and I think that's actually the highlight of the Charlie 6 era. Like that's their highest point is the exit because that's everything coming to a head.
Yeah.
Sort of the undercurrent is, of course, the very from the Condemned, which is the first 6 Charlie stories. That like Charlie, of course, knows about 8, so he's trying and partially failing not to give things away. And she gets India Fisher, as always, is a great actress and great as the character. The arc, I think, goes on for a bit too long. It has a great ending. That trilogy is really good. Like, I think my favorite from it might just be Paper Cuts, because Draconians and like that story is really solid. And of course,
It's kind of like a draconian horror story.
Yeah, like no one seems to talk about Paper Cuts. They always want to talk about Patient Zero because of the Dalek Time Controller, and Blue Forgotten Planet because that's where Charlie lives.
I like Blue Forgotten Planet. That one's my favorite.
Oh wait, the time controllers.
But I do love Paper Cuts.
Yeah.
Ooh, that sounds.
Yeah, Joey. The time controller makes its first appearance in Patient Zero, and that's not really a spoiler for that story. It's
okay.
Patient Zero.
Did that come out before Dark Eyes?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was.
This was like 2011. I want to say.
So a year before. Okay.
Yeah.
No, 2 years before. Dark Eyes was 2013. What?
No,
Dark Eyes 1 was in 2012.
Yeah, November.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because 2011 was the end of Lucy, the Lucy era.
Yeah, because Charlie was kind of continued in the Sixth Doctor audio as well, like the kind of was going on there. It might have been 2010. I don't know. I don't think it really matters.
But yeah, it was pre-Dark Eyes. I think like it brought back some of the harsher Six, mainly because Six had a reason to distrust his companion, and it's a really fun like idea.
Yeah, it brings in a very different doctor-companion dynamic from what we often have, which is quite refreshing, to have it where there's a bit of distrust there. Like how they did that with Turlo, except for in this it's actually brought to a satisfying conclusion rather than just kind of slowly dissipating over the course of the series and not really going anywhere other than enlightenment,
And there are two interesting ways to watch it. You could always listen to it from Six's perspective or just listen to it from Charlie's perspective. Because like depending on how you want to do it, which both ways are valid, because then you kind of get this mystery of who is Charlie, which is obviously just really interesting from a story perspective.
So, considering the only thing I've heard is Red House, how does what the Valiar does to Charlie in the Red House play up anymore in the story? Like I know the Valiard isn't in any of the other Charlie stories, but does like the fact that the Eighth Doctor is?
I've not heard the Red House since 2015.
Well,
so I don't remember what happens there. So you have to refresh me.
I haven't heard a lot of the fucking Charlie stuff, but anyway, yeah.
Have you listened to the Red House, Brian?
I have listened to the Red House. The Red House couldn't have an impact on all the Charlie stuff because, well, the Red House was released after the Charlie. Was complete.
But I'm wondering, like, how much? Pretty much what I'm asking is, how much does the Eighth Doctor Charlie relationship play into the Sixth Doctor stuff?
I'd say it does, not necessarily in the way that you may be expecting, if that makes sense. Because, because
it still needs to be accessible for people who haven't heard all the Charlie shit.
Yeah. And that era, because that era has a lot of twists. That era of Six just has a lot of really good twists and turns, which I'm trying to avoid necessarily getting them all. It introduces Detective Menzies, who is a fun character, who was in Rain Cloud Man and The Condemned, played by one of the cat nurses from New Earth.
Oh, that's cool.
And returning in The Legacy of Time.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Anyway, Dylan and I are going to talk a little bit about Flip now.
Okay, I haven't heard all that much Flip, but
Well,
if you want
I
to.
mean, neither have I, but based on what you have heard, what...
Okay, so,
What have you heard, Dylan?
okay, but
Flip?
before can I preach the good word of stage fright?
No.
Okay. Or no, stage fright is with Constance, right?
No, stage fright is
No. Stage fright's a Flip.
Okay, yeah.
And
End of
I
the
don't
line
like
is
stage
with
fright.
Constance.
Well,
Stage
we're
fright
going to
is
let
so-
Dylan go first since he knows more than both of you.
Well, I'm trying to think. What have I heard? So I've heard stage fright.
You've heard
I'm
We're an
pretty
Isle,
sure-
I think.
I heard what?
We're an Isle?
We're an Isle. Oh, I own We're an Isle, but I haven't listened to it.
What
And
about
I
Curse of
own a
Davros?
few Flip orders, but I haven't. The Curse of... Oh, yes, Curse of Davros. Yeah,
That's sort of her
I liked her
entry
in the-
story, so...
Yeah, it is. I liked her in The Curse of Davros, but Curse of Davros was a particularly brilliant story. You know, that was a standout. And in Stage Fright, personally, I just couldn't get into her at all. I mean, I think I probably need to listen to more of a character before coming to a firm conclusion, but from what I've heard so far, not too keen.
Well, as far as what I know about Flip, I think, having only heard Stage Fright, she's like one of the more generic Sixth Doctor companions, from what I can gather at least. Considering that, like, she wasn't even a big part of why I enjoyed Stage Fright so much. It was really everything surrounding the story.
And Jago and Lightfoot.
Yeah, because fucking Jago and Lightfoot.
Are we talking about them? Because they're companions too.
I think the most comparable companion to compare Flip with is probably Donna. But, Big has done Donna spoofs, parodies, whatever. Fucking rip-offs of Donna so many times that I guess I could see why it's old at this point, but I like Flip.
All right.
Yeah, that's basically...
I'm just
Flip
glad
in a nutshell.
Osgood isn't in this call.
Doesn't he really
he's
like
probably
Flip?
gonna see this video.
Yeah, he does for some
Yeah.
reason. She seems really...
He likes off to Flip.
Anyway,
I've heard that Lisa Greenwood's a great and is a great actress. And it's not like I'm turned off. I haven't heard anything from her because, Big Finish has such a big output, and it's like we're working on it.
anyway, so Constance?
Constance is all right.
I've
heard
like
quite a bit more.
Constance.
I've heard quite a bit more of Constance than I have Flip. That being her first trilogy, and I'm going to listen to Order of the Daleks soon. But
Same, because I've just got Order of the Daleks with
as
when
did I.
it was on sale.
But anyway, and she kind of starts out with the potential of a really strong character in Crisscross. She's from World War II. First off, that's really interesting,
Which
especially
I'm currently listening to right now. I'm just now listening.
Yeah.
I own it, but I haven't heard it.
So you can kind of relate, Brian, to you see the potential of a really strong character there.
I do.
With a really unique backstory, and she stays that way throughout Crisscross. But then Planet of the Rani happens, and she just becomes, to me at least, I see her as another Flip, because I was more impressed by everything else in Planet of the Rani and not so much Constance.
Well, she definitely gets a bit more of that interesting backstory thing back when it's her and Flip traveling with the Doctor.
Okay.
That's
Yeah, I feel like part of the problem was they were doing that first trilogy, and they didn't have quite her figured out yet. Because I hear that I've heard so many things that she gets better, starting Order of the Daleks onward.
I hope so, because especially in Shield of the Jodin, she was just completely unremarkable.
well.
And did
As you know, I'm currently listening to Crisscross, and I've heard the third Constance trilogy, which she's also paired up with Flip. And Constance does talk a little bit more about herself. She seems a bit weary and tired of traveling with the Doctor, but static. And yeah, so she does develop, and she does get more interesting.
Yeah, because I really enjoy her character in Crisscross and in The End of the Line, which is a
ooh,
really
yes.
introduction.
End of the line. Is so fucking
She's
good.
this great it's sort of doing this strong woman, but also 40s sensibility. So she's very, very proper and very just very yes, I'm going to get things done. Yeah, this you will listen to me because I am an authority and I know what I'm talking about. It's this very just sort of old-fashioned yet very just this interesting way of just the way she like acts. Like she takes control of a situation, which is very very complimentary to Colin Baker's doctor. Like they work off each other very nicely. And what's nice is that it's a very different relationship between the like Dr. Perry relationship or the Dr. Evelyn relationship or the Dr. Charlie relationship. Like each of Six's companions works off of him differently.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'm hearing silence.
Oh yeah.
Dylan?
Well, technically, you can't hear silence.
Okay. Anyway, have you heard any?
Okay, Dylan, did you have anything you wanted to add to that, or?
I have only heard her at the end of the line. I do own a few of her oldies, but I haven't listened to them yet, which is the story of my life. Yeah, so just didn't really seem to have much personality in that, but I don't know if that's just that episode. Can't really comment.
Well, also that was written in the really early stages of Constance's character development, and really, shit, who wrote Crisscross? I forget.
Fitton?
Matt Fitton.
Matt Fitton.
And yeah, he was like the only one who really had a strong grasp of who Constance was going to be because he wrote her introduction. Everyone else was just kind of like, well, here's a blank slate companion that I was able to work with in the early days, and that kind of transitioned into End of the Line, and I'm hoping it improves in the second trilogy onward.
I think it does. Anyway, now we're going to talk about Mel.
Mel.
Melanie Bush.
I'm gonna do this whole segment in my McCoy voice, so yeah.
Can we just keep it to Mel with 6 because Mel with 7 is also kind of a different beast altogether.
Oh, fine, whatever. Anyway, but let's okay, fine.
How do you be so crap on TV but end up actually being so good in some, not all, in some Big Finish audios? Specifically,
she's really good outside of TV.
Specifically, the Juggernauts, which is definitely her highlight for me in Big Finish.
The One Doctor.
Ooh,
Shit! I forgot about the One Doctor.
Nah, definitely Juggernauts, dude.
She's
Definitely
amazing in
Juggernauts.
The Wrong Doctor
She's
is also fantastic.
In, the One Doctor, though, everybody is. That's a brilliant story.
I think it's because Bonnie Langford isn't a bad actress and there isn't a bad character there. It's just you had Trial, which was like with all the behind the scenes stuff, they couldn't craft a good character.
Yeah, although I do like her spirit at least in Ultimate Foe. I like how
and she's okay. In her
she's not bad in Colin's era on TV. It's just in McCoy's era, she just comes like screamy person.
Okay, that's fucking wrong. But anyway,
that is okay. How is that wrong?
We're not talking about this.
We're not talking about Mel with
gentlemen,
McCoy right now because this is a Colin Baker discussion and we haven't gotten to McCoy yet.
Trust me, that McCoy discussion is happening and it will happen.
So I'm ready for a knife fight when that shit comes up. But up until then, I do like her attitude, at least in Trial of a Time Lord, because you could tell she knows the Doctor very well and wants to stand up for him. But then in the expanded universe, you get why she's this way. You see more of her development. I think specifically to the Wrong Doctors, which is obviously a big story for her and the Doctor. Where you kind of get her quote unquote introduction. And how she first gets to know the Doctor, and she's just this nice, high-spirited person. And I granted I haven't heard the Juggernauts, though I hear that's her big character development one.
That's her best one by far. I love her in that.
I really love her in Catch 1782, which no one ever talks about.
Ooh, yeah, that's a really good one, and I've heard it, so I can talk about it.
Like that's a fun time travel-y one that no one seems to remember.
It is also a really good character piece for Mel.
Cool.
Yeah. Honestly, she's a fun character. She does stereotypical companion right.
Well,
yeah.
I also love the side characters in Catch 1782. Like everybody's just really, really fun and enjoyable in that.
Actually, Jake,
fun.
Sorry.
But it's kind of a depressing story, actually.
that's a good talking point to work off of, because we were just talking about more generic companions with Flip and Constance, but Mel, I think, is how you do more generic, high-spirited companion correctly. Whereas, like, there's more of a distinct personality there, but, like, she's still pretty stereotypical for a Doctor Who companion, bar the time travel things related around her. Her personality is pretty blank slate, but there's something more there, specifically, I think, in Bonnie Langford's performance.
Yeah, I mean, part of it is just she's not, you're dark, I have a tragic backstory, or I have a big secret. She's just, I want to have fun with the universe. And sometimes that's all you need.
Yeah.
Also, I don't like the fact that there's a certain Virgin missing adventure that tries to, well, high millennial rights.
Anyway,
Millennial.
so I think now's a good time to stop Jacob because he's gone on his Virgin New Adventures rant. So
Missing.
let's talk about the Valyard now.
Missing.
Ooh, the Valyard. Ooh, the Valyard.
High millennial rights again, because that deals with the Valyard.
Oh,
We're
God
not
damn it,
talking
Brian.
about millennial rights right now.
You took him even further. Shit. Well, oh no, because we're talking about the Valyard as a whole. I mean, yeah.
Oh shit, he's right.
So
Yeah, but Joey, come on.
what?
You couldn't have just stuck with me that one time for that one point.
Yeah, but I mean, like, what are we gonna do with the Valyard if we're not including expanded universe shit? Just like, I mean, yeah, there's something to talk about with Trial of the Time Lord.
Truth.
Most of his stuff comes from the expanded universe.
Michael Taston is always great.
Oh yes, Michael Jason is a fantastic actor.
So Dylan, have you heard any of the Valyard stuff from Big Finish?
Well, I own The Last Adventure.
Yeah.
So yeah, I heard of that. And it was pretty good. Not the
Have
best
any of
thing
you
ever
heard
heard.
Trial of the Valyard?
Pretty standard box. I have that one, but I haven't listened to it.
Okay, comment challenge. How many times does Dylan say I have it, but I haven't listened to it?
I don't even fucking know. So
At least 6, I think we've had.
It's because I save them for long journeys, you know?
that makes sense. That does make sense.
What the hell was that?
No idea.
Absolutely
Let's
nothing.
continue anyway. So, Valyard and Trial of a Time Lord. Go, Joey.
Oh, okay, Valyard and Trial of a Time Lord. Oh, wait, just in Trial of a Time Lord, or can I talk about him as a whole?
As a whole, but, Trial of a Time Lord as a starting point.
Okay, so the Valyard starts off, more mysterious character. Though I quite like the red herring of the first 3 stories in Trial of a Time Lord, of him just being someone who just has a specific grudge against the Doctor, because what Time Lord official doesn't have a grudge against the Doctor. But then, of course, in Ultimate Foe, it's revealed that he is a manifestation of the Doctor's dark side, and it's weird as shit. But it's a cool idea, specifically for a Doctor like Colin Baker's Doctor, someone who very much was going on a much darker path up until he learned of this much darker path that he could be going on, and the very existence of the Valyard puts the Sixth Doctor in such a position where he's very careful about everything he does. So, from Trial of a Time Lord onward, the Valyard becomes a very constant presence within the Sixth Doctor's life. So every single time the Sixth Doctor inadvertently kills someone, even if it's not specifically stated, you could very much tell that he's thinking in the back of his mind, what if I'm starting my journey to becoming the Valyard? And it's a very constant fear there. And something that he doesn't even technically fully resolve by the brink of death. He's still going up against the Valyard in that, and he technically kills him. But there is more of an expanded universe reason as to what happens to the Sixth Doctor after he regenerates.
One thing I've always found kind of weird about the Valyard is the writers, because there are a lot of them who've written for him, can never quite seem to decide if he is definitely a future incarnation of the Doctor, or if he is just an amalgamation of the Doctor's darker parts. Because, of course, the more popular answer is he's an amalgamation. But there are a ton of stories which treat him like he is the Doctor's future.
I think it's more. I feel like it's more the manifestation of the Doctor's dark side.
In which case, what caused that manifestation to appear?
Well, obviously, we have yet to find out.
But anyway, that's just one trivial thing that confuses me about the Valeyard, and that the writers are never quite sure.
Yeah.
I love his random interactions with Benny in that in like the one Benny release he appears in.
Well, I'm
Because
telling
Benny-
you guys right now, you guys need to listen to Trial of a Valeyard because
Oh yeah, Trial of
Holy
Valiant
shit.
is great.
It-
It's great.
holy shit, Trial of the Valeyard is like one of the most amazing character pieces for both the Sixth and the Valeyard. And
Well, that's-
it's a sequel to Trial of the Time Lord, and it's just fucking awesome. And you should listen to it.
Cool.
It's also got what's her face in it, Linda Bellingham.
Oh yeah, Linda Bellingham. She's good.
Yeah, even in the brink of death, the Valeyard isn't quite resolved. The doctor's still not sure if he's
Yeah.
completely prevented it.
Yeah.
And no one, even in like all the books, they never try to completely say definitively, which I think is good. Because I think giving the Valiant an answer wouldn't work.
I've heard that the Eighth Doctor comes into contact with him at some point, but
Oh, that's cool.
I've heard that there's a Seventh Doctor PDA that deals with him too, like,
Huh.
and of course Millennial Rights. Millennial Rights.
but yeah, it's all like decayed versions of the Valeyard, which aren't like he's not complete anymore. So
Okay.
I'm not sure. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think there's one out there where he does come into contact with 7 or 8.
But yeah, I do like the constant presence that he keeps within the Doctor's mind. Not just the Sixth Doctor, but even beyond that. There's a specific encounter between the Doctor and Death in Love and War, where Death tells the Doctor that that his sixth incarnation hates him for everything that he's become, and he will become the Valeyard because of that.
And the reason why Six doesn't appear in Time Worm Revelation
is because he's kind of locked up and feared by the rest of the Doctor's incarnations.
Yeah.
Actually, just thinking about that, 6 would have a really good reason to hate 7. Because
Yeah.
7, 7's pretty manipulative and,
Because
a dark, manipulative
'cause
bastard that
despite
he
how-
could easily become Valeyard.
yeah, because despite how much the Sixth Doctor changes, he still definitely has the potential when he regenerates to become that dark manifestation. So very much so, I
And
would
Seven
like.
is very close to becoming that too, because I mean, have you read the books?
Yeah.
Have you seen the Ghostlight, Curse of Fenric, Survival? The greatest show. Remember, Sylvester McCoy's manipulative. That's what I'm going for.
Oh,
for here.
okay. Dylan hasn't talked at all.
Yeah.
What do you think of the
I don't really
Valeyard,
have
Dylan?
I don't know. I mean, I like him, and he's good in Trial of a Time Lord. He has a good kind of rapport. It's fun to watch him bounce off Colin Baker. But other than that, don't really have that many thoughts of him. Just all right.
Fair.
All right. Well, I think that's it for the Valeyard, so...
And I think this video is
Best and
almost
worst
out
stories
already.
of Colin Baker's 2 seasons on TV.
Best and worst.
Include Big Finish as well.
Well, we'll do Big Finish afterwards, but we kind of just list off a bunch of
Oh, fair enough.
that you should listen to.
Yeah. So season 22, I think best story Revelation of the Daleks, worst story Time Lash.
All right.
I think for season 21, best story, The Twin Dilemma. Worst story, The Twin Dilemma.
Oh, fuck off.
Oh, right. We're doing it for each season. So season 22, best story, The Two Doctors.
Fuck off.
Worst story, Time Lash, obviously.
I think
I do
I'm
love the
gonna
two
be the one
doctors.
who
Not gonna
breaks the
criticize you there.
fucking world and say best one from season 22 is Attack of the Cybermen.
Ooh.
First one is
no.
See, Attack of the Cybermen's good. It used to be my favorite, but
the worst.
it's
The
nowhere
worst
near
one.
as Vengeance
Anyway, the
or
worst one for me is
Revelation or
probably
Two Doctors.
the worst one for me is probably Mark of the Ronnie.
Oh wait, shit, that is my answer. Well, it's not. How could I
Mark of
forget?
the Rani worse than Time Lash?
How could I
Are
forget
you
about
insane?
Ronnie? I fucking hate that story.
Bro,
Yeah,
at least I was entertained by Time Lash because of how bad it
Yeah.
No,
was.
at least I was
Mark of the
entertained by
Rani
Mark
made
of
me
the
want to
Rani.
fucking cry.
Time Lash is so fucking boring. At least Mark of the Rani has some entertainment value, you know?
Yeah, Mark Ronnie has Kato Mara
He
in
made-
it.
Dylan, you just made the exact argument I just made for preferring Time Lash over my Mark.
Right, okay. At least Mark of the Rani is made competently.
Yeah, Time Lapse just falls apart because it's got tinfoil and HD valves.
So, for me, for season 22, best Revelation of the Daleks, worst Time Lash. Simple as that. Although Two Doctors did used to be my favourite. I still love it.
That's no fucking surprise.
I just adore Revelation just from how fucking nasty it is. It has to be
I
one
was
of the
talking about the two
episodes of
doctors
Doctor
that you added in at the end.
Yeah, I was just talking about Revelation of the Daleks.
Yeah, Revelation. Oh, Revelation's fucking fantastic. It's
Revelation's
fucked.
good.
I mean, it's such a nasty episode, and I love it. I love it when Doctor Who gets that dark.
It is.
Just somebody's father as like kind of a brutally, surgically modified head, begging his daughter to kill him.
We
That
also just
is-
talked about
yeah.
how overrated
Revelation of the Daleks
Vengeance
is fucked up.
What?
Okay, so season
Oh,
3.
Oh, hang on. I was gonna say before we moved on, how overrated is Vengeance on Varos?
It's not.
It's pretty overrated.
I'd say it's a little overrated. I rewatched it recently and found that I enjoyed it better upon rewatch, but I'd say it's
Well,
overrated.
in the Doctor Who magazine poll, both times it has came in the bottom half of Doctor Who stories. So
Really?
I couldn't.
But
say
I
it
feel
was
like Sixth
great.
Doctor fans praise Vengeance way more than it should be.
Yeah, but you got to remember they're a very small minority of fans overall. So I'd say it's. I think it's
Even though they
underrated.
shouldn't be, because 6 is great.
Yeah, well, that just feeds back into what we were discussing earlier.
Oh yeah, but if we're talking in like overall polls, I mean, like if we're saying it's in the bottom half, that's probably also included with every other TV Sixth Doctor story.
Apart from Revelation of the Daleks, yes.
Yeah, so it's still pretty high up there in fans' regards of the Sixth Doctor era.
Yeah, but I still don't think that means it's overrated. You know, that's like people saying, "Oh yeah, it's a 6 out of 10. It's not bad for a Sixth Doctor story." But I think that's unfair. I think it's at least deserving of an 8 out of 10.
I say it's a 7. Like it's good, but not quite like a 9 or a 10 or anything.
So, season 23, best and worst.
Best Mind Warp, worst Terror of the Vervoids.
Oh, I
Same.
love you, Joey. It's exactly the same. Terror of the Vervoids is the worst murder mystery ever. Because
See,
yes, you don't see it coming, but that's because the person who did the murders has literally zero fucking character and no screen time.
Oh, but here's the thing. I think I still like Terror of the Vervoids. I think it's just a lot of fun. It's not a good story, but like
I think it's shit. I really hate Terror of the Vervoids.
I think it's a lot of fun to watch.
Terror of the Vervoids is obviously my least favorite. It's pretty much everyone's least favorite. But,
Actually, that's not
favorite of
true.
the season
On
probably
the
has to be...
polls,
My
on the
favorite of the
Doctor Who
season
magazine
probably
polls,
has
people's
to be
favorite is
Mysterious
Ultimate
Planet.
Foe.
Oh, your favorite is Mysterious Planet, Brian?
Yeah. It used
That's
to be
Mysterious
Ultimate
Planet
Foe
is some-
because... But then I thought about it rationally, and I was like, I only like Ultimate Foe because it comes off the revelation that, you know, Valiard is the fucking dark side of the Doctor. And when
Yeah.
I initially watched Trial of a Time Lord, and that was revealed, because I had no idea. I was just like, yo, what the fuck?
Yeah, I didn't have any idea as well when I saw that for the first time.
Well, Ultimate Foe used to be my favorite, but then I realized I'm like, it's really only the first half that's really good, and that's because it's a Robert Holmes script. And then Pip and Jane Baker take over, and it's like, shit.
And I don't blame Pip and Jane Baker for that.
I
So,
totally blame Pip and Jane Baker.
Oh, yeah, I blame Pip.
After how bad
Baker
Terror of the
for sure.
Vervoids are, I've got to blame Pip and Jane Baker.
Yeah.
I've heard what the original plans were for Ultimate Foe. Yeah, I fucking blame Pip and Jane Baker by 1,000 miles.
But they weren't allowed to see any of the original, hear about any of the original plans. They were just told, you have to finish this.
Right. But Pippin
That was a bit shitty.
Yeah,
weren't good
and thus
anyways,
they could've-
so I
and thus
fucking
they could
blame
have
him.
come up with something much better. And they didn't. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Why
Anyway,
does he
you
have to
guys
die,
wanna
Robert
take
Holmes?
your,
Why
like,
couldn't you finish it
5-minute
first?
session to wank over the expanded universe? Just
Yes,
list off a bunch
that's
of titles as
Wait,
normal.
but could that be a new quote for these videos? Why did you have to die, Robert Holmes?
Yeah.
Oh my fucking god. If we make another spin on the fucking Deborah Watling is dead joke, I'm gonna...
Hey,
The joke's gonna
I
be
wasn't
Brian
gonna-
Corrigan is dead.
I swear I wasn't gonna bring up Deborah Watling, and you did it again. So why do you always bring this upon us, Brian?
Press F in the comments for Deborah Watling.
Press F twice, once for Deborah Watling, second for Robert Holmes.
F.
If you want to count Caroline John.
And do a fourth for Harambe.
And a fifth for Brian's mentality. Anyway, were you trying to move us on until I quoted Dylan in that way, Brian?
Anyway, expanded universe stuff. List off your titles and splooge over them.
Oh god! All right, here we fucking go. Shit. I had a list. Damn it! I need to pull it up. Fuck.
I'm gonna. May I? Well, you're looking for that, Joey.
I have it. Okay. Anyway, all right. Blood Tide. Fucking listen to Blood Tide. It's so fucking good. Doctor Who and the Pirates. Jubilee. I have them in alphabetical. Last of the Cybermen is pretty underrated. I think it's a pretty fun story.
Agree. Hard agree.
Yeah. The Return of Perry trilogy, being Widow's Assassin, Masters of Earth, and Ronnie Elite. Fantastic stuff. Perry and the Viscount Paradox, fucking fantastic. Beautiful shit at the end. Like one of the few Doctor Who stories to ever make me cry because of Nicola Bryant's speech at the end. If you've heard it, you know what the fuck I'm talking about. Where am I? Stage Fright. Most of Last Adventure. There are some things I don't like about it, but most of Last Adventure I think is really solid. What else? Curious Incident of the Doctor in the Nighttime. That is on an anthology called Breaking Bubbles and Other Stories, and
That's great.
Curious Incident is amazing. Of course, Holy Terror, Marian Conspiracy, The Reaping, my favorite Sixth Doctor story, The Wormery, The Wrong Doctors, Trouble in Paradise, The Destiny of the Doctor story. That's fantastic. And I think that about does it. Oh, Voyage to Venus is quite good too with Jago and Lightfoot.
All right. Well,
Ooh, you forgot
I guess
the
I'll do the same thing.
big oof. You forgot Medicinal Purposes, which is like my all-time favorite Sixth Doctor story ever.
I've not heard it. Oh, also You're the Pig. You're the Pig is good.
Really? I'm not a big fan
to
of
add
You're
to
the Pig.
Joey's, I've got fucking Medicinal Purposes, Arrangements for War, and Thicker Than Water. Static, the middle, not the behemoth, because I don't like the behemoth. But a lot of people do, so I guess if you want, check out the behemoth. Vortex Ice is good. I think that about covers it for me.
One more thing just to
Well,
piss you
for
off.
me,
One more thing just to piss you off, Brian. Spectre of Lanyon Moore.
I hate you!
I was literally just about to say that as my first one. I love the Spectre of Lanyon Moore.
Yeah,
fucking
it's
hate
Have we
Well,
talked about
excellent story.
Apocalypse Element yet?
It's great fun. Wait, what's up?
The Apocalypse
Apocalypse
Element.
Element's all right. Oh wait, nobody's talked about Project Twilight. Project Twilight is brilliant.
Because it's not
that
as
is
good as
amazing.
Lazarus.
It's really great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. I prefer Project Twilight myself.
No,
The One Doctor is one of my favorite Doctor Who stories ever. I absolutely adore it. It's the perfect Christmas special. It's so nice, funny, charming in all the right ways. It's what a Christmas special should be, and the TV series would do well to learn from this because I listen to it every Christmas and I love it every single time. Well, let's scroll down this list, see what else there is. We've already talked about Jubilee, haven't we?
yeah.
Davros, which is my favorite Doctor Who story of all time.
Obviously, the
Undoubtedly.
Juggernauts.
What a brilliant character piece for Davros, and how well Colin Baker and Terry Malloy bounce off each other. It's It's breathtaking. Every time I listen to it, it is just breathtaking.
Although it's actually not if you just listen to I Davros, which is way better anyways.
Oof.
Nah.
Though I have
You're just salty. You listen to I Davros in the wrong order, like by not listening to Davros first. Yeah, no, Jacob's right though. The Juggernauts needs to be mentioned. That one's a brilliant one. It's another good Davros.
Me.
Specifically good for Mel. Oh, well, I can't tell the difference between your bloody Yank voices, you know?
Okay, Joey does not sound like either me or Jacob.
You all sound the same to me. Oh, Paradise 5. Has anybody heard Paradise 5?
Yeah, Paradise. I was going to mention that Point of
Fair.
Entry
Nightmare Fair
is great.
Oh, Point of Entry is one of my favorite. I adore Point of Entry. Yeah, that one's got
First Sontarans is good too.
That one's.
I just bought First Sontarans.
Legend of the Cybermen. I mean, everybody's been begging for a return to the land of fiction. I do it with Cybermen. It's quite
the first
good.
Sontarans is good. I mean, it's nothing special, but it's worth a listen.
I thought it was a particularly good one. The Curse of Davros.
Haven't heard it.
The Curse of Davros.
Trial of the Valyard.
It's another brilliant one for Davros as a character.
Wait, The Curse of Davros. Which one is that?
There's a twist. There's a twist towards the it is either the middle or the end of The Curse of Davros, which you will not see coming. And it's honestly, it might actually be better than the Omega twist. It is that good.
Oh shit!
The Guardian. Yeah, it's proper good.
It's
The
towards
twist.
the middle, Dylan.
Yeah, the Guardians of the Prophecy. I don't know how many people have heard that, but
I've heard that. Really, that's good.
Yeah, it's an excellent Lost Stories one. It's on like a planet that was in the Trakan Union. It's a really good one. And it has what's his name? Person who plays Azal and Omega.
Stephen Thorne.
Yeah, Stephen Thorne, and he is brilliant in it. His voice is aged like fine wine.
What else?
Something I forgot. His Classic Doctor's New Monster stories, being Jejune in Chains and Carrionite Curse. Both are really good.
I've heard Jejune in Chains, and that one is really good. I'm surprised they actually managed to give character to one of New Who's more mundane inventions. I mean, it's just an alien fucking rhino.
Yeah, but Carrionite Curse is fantastic. I wouldn't say it's quite as good as Shakespeare Code, but I think it's really good still.
I know we mentioned the Wormery, but the Wormery needs a second mention.
Oh yes, the Wormery is so fucking good.
Because it's cabaret.
I don't know how many of you have heard this. Hour of the Cybermen is quite a good one.
Oh yeah, Hour of the Cybermen. That's a recent one that is really good. And
that was what?
Yeah, it is. It's brilliant.
4 months ago, I think.
July.
Yeah, everybody should listen to it. It's really good. It's phenomenal. Buy it.
Yeah, and it's a good. It does a specific character in it really well, which was took me aback a bit.
I'd say the only drawback to Hour of the Cybermen is you sort of need the context of the Heliax Rift.
You see, I went into it without the context of that, but I got it,
Oh, okay. Well,
I felt
it's
a
lot better with the context of Heliax.
I'm sure it'd be
despite Heliax Rift being a really bad story.
Oh yeah, we've mentioned the Holy Terror.
Have we mentioned
Maltese Penguin?
Oh shit! I did forget that, didn't I?
Maltese Penguin for sure. That is one of my favorite.
Brotherhood of the Daleks is a nice acid trip story.
I know we're only talking about audios right now, but I would just like to mention Time of Your Life coming soon to Joey Morgan Productions.
Soon-ish.
Soon-ish is in a year, but still
We love stories.
Wait, what did you say?
We love stories.
Oh.
The kind of raspy Briggs voice.
What else? What else is there?
Anyway, we're gonna cut Jacob off because I'm a fucking asshole, and yeah.
The space race.
That was Dylan,
space race.
Joey, Jacob, and
wait, you gotta let Jacob wank over his books though.
I haven't got. Yeah.
He'll have plenty of time to do that in the next panel discussion. So, era discussion.
Oh wow! See, Dylan, he's trying to take your trademark there.
Yeah, excuse me. Everybody seems to be stealing my shit, just because I'm a fucking prodigy.
All right, we're ending this. Bye, everyone. Subscribe to these fuckers.